10% of Mexico's children under the age of 6 live in extreme poverty. These children often suffer from mental health issues, malnutrition, untreated illnesses, poor conjugate skills, opening the door to child labor, child trafficking, teenage pregnancy, and crime. For 25 years, Centro Infet- Infantil, de Los Ángeles, which we'll call SILA from here on in so I don't screw it up, has looked after educating hundreds of babies and young children aged 3 months to 6 years who live in extreme poverty to break that cycle of poverty. Most families with children attending SILIA are attempting to survive on less than $300 a month. Many of the single parent families, I'm sorry, many are single parent families. Paying for daycare and preschool is not an option for them. What SILA does is called childhood education. And don't forget to turn that back on after the meeting, which is proven to develop brains. As a result, SILA students are twice as likely to go to college, 1.5 times more likely to find full-time employment, and 30% less likely to engage in destructive behavior. They are 25% less likely to undergo teenage pregnancy, 50% less likely to be arrested under the age of 30, and there are fewer than 5% of the children in Mexico with these benefits. Besides, 70% of SILA students test higher than average on state standardized tests, and none test below average. Before the pandemic, SILA was serving around 200 children. That number is nearly to 150 now that classrooms are closed due to funding shortages caused in part by the pandemic. And that's at least 50 children missing the opportunity to gain essential guidance from for creativity, imagination, literacy, math, motor development, problem solving, self-expression, sensory development, and spatial awareness skills. Presenting for SILA today will be Susan Sparrow, a board advisor of SILA. Sue is the marketing and is the president, has a marketing background and is president of Domicity Ltd, the management consulting and competitive analysis company in the internet technology sector. She has volunteered at the Biblioteca, coordinates events for a Canadian club, and chaired the educational panel, What Canadians Are Too Polite to Tell Americans? Or used to be too polite to tell Americans. Sorry, but that's true. It's good though. Joining Sue today will be Dr. Richard Horn, PhD, a clinical speech and language pathologist who works in speech and hearing at the University of Washington, the Children's Hospital of Pittsburgh, and the Children's Hospital of Miami. In addition, he was director of the Graduate Studies in Communication at Gallaudet, the most mispronounced word in Washington, D.C., by the way, University, and the only liberal arts university for the deaf in the world. Horn retired from the federal government as Deputy Director of Occupational Health in the Department of Health and Human Resources in Washington, D.C. So please help us welcome them as they come to the podium today and explain what they do.
Thank you all. I'm going to don my specs for this. Thanks so much, Joe. Joe has done a lot of my work for me as I in defining what the school is. Centro Infantil de Los Ángeles has become a new cause for me. I'm going to start though with the Rotary. The Rotary is not a new cause for me. Back in 2008, my partner and I came to San Miguel. We knew only one person, and that person was referred by a dear friend in Ottawa who was a Rotarian. And she said, I only know one person. And Mark and I came knowing nobody. We've come back, so you see, we know more. And that person became a really good friend and dear friend of ours. And I'm going to tear up here. That person was Merle Howard. And some of you older folks, people my age perhaps, would know Merle. She was a Jamaican Canadian. She had an amazing, wonderful Jamaican lilt. She was a dancer, lively, and she brightened my life all the years she was alive. We've lost her too early, and just to say, this is my intro to Rotary, and I went to many Rotary meetings with Merle when she was president and not, and then we would truck up to the Tuesday market and pick out a costume for her dancing in the Jardin. So the next Rotary connection, I guess, is for me, Robin Loving, who has been a new contact of me and Sela. And Robin has spent 2 long months with Sela, helping us develop a sustainability plan. And I think we're on our way, and I see a lot of action, and thank you to Robin for that. Another little quick Rotary connection. Some years ago, Rotary donated some beautiful children's furniture to this school. And then COVID came along. The school was closed, the preschool. The daycare remained open, but these are preschool kiddies, chairs and tables. And that you'll see in our presentation, we're looking now to reinstall those tables and chairs in new classrooms that we plan to open. And we can only do it with you and the rest of San Miguel. So we're beginning there to get those chairs and tables back. And I guess the other Rotary connection would be that our director of 17 years, just the same year I arrived, Patricia Palacios became the executive director of the preschool, and now the daycare and preschool expanded. And she was a Rotary Citizen of the Year. So Patricia is an amazing woman who's still carrying on with 150 kids, if you can imagine what that would be. So thank you very much for her service too. And we're looking for another 25 years from Patricia. I'm going to be brief because you know Rotary, bong, and we're hooked off the stage. So I do want to introduce some Sela people who are here. Dr. Richard Horn, of course, has been introduced, and he will be the key speaker because he has years of study that I do not have in education. And he's going to talk to you about the nuts and bolts of why one would even bother to educate babies and young children and how important that is. The other is Patricia Palacios, the executive director, whom I've mentioned. Another woman here today is our new marketing coordinator. We're really excited about this. Hazmi Ruiz is joining us. Another key guy is Dave Schenk in the front here. He is the president of the board at Centro Infantil de Los Ángeles. And finally, Patricia Sobolski, who is not finally in any way. She's a buzzsaw. She is our outreach coordinator, and she's getting things moving like no one else I can tell you about. A quick outline of our presentation. We're going to do a 5-minute show, this is about education. And I hope by now people would say, a 10-slide show is the best. This is not 10 slides, but it will give you an understanding of what we do at Sela and how important the work is, and a little bit about education in Mexico. So we're hoping that you will enjoy it. It's something it was a labor of love for me. So I have the view that, every picture is worth 1,000 words, and I think there are 45 pictures. But it's 5 minutes, so I hope you'll bear with it and enjoy it and learn, as I have actually from putting it together. Dr. Richard Horn, of course, is going to talk about the education piece, and the critical importance of early childhood education and care. We're going to wrap up with some quick words from me, and then we're going to accept about 10 minutes of questions from you, and we'll be available outside too afterwards if anyone wants to talk more about the school. All right, that's my piece, and roll them if you can, please, at the back. Thank you.
Buenos días a todos. Um, I'm going to probably throw away most of this because you've heard statistics and you don't probably need to hear more statistics, but I want to tell you a few stories. I very recently was introduced to Sila maybe a month or so ago in Patricia, gave me a tour, and that's all it took to see these wonderful children getting wonderful education and wonderful care and understanding that the world is opening up to them through this care and through education, that we can break the cycle one child at a time. Let me just give you a couple of stories, and you yank me. I know someone will say, "You're 5 minutes up." One of our graduates, this is a testimonial, and I'm not going through statistics that I plan to do. We know that. I was a student at CELA where I began my adventure in life. I wasn't exactly a quiet student, but luckily I had great teachers who didn't give up on me. I had certain setbacks in my academic life, like the pandemic where I had to drop out of school and couldn't study. I started working as a bricklayer's assistant. I believed that working would be my only option. I worked in a restaurant as a dishwasher and eventually became a cook. With encouragement, I went to school even though everyone else was younger than I. But I prepared and I studied and I successfully completed high school. Later, I focused on my university entrance exams. And the moment I was selected, it was extremely satisfying to me. Today, I'm an agronomy student. I'm living outside of the comfort of my home. I believe that I'm capable of achieving my goal to become an engineer. It's not only about the children, it's about their caregivers. And let me tell you a couple of stories. One of our mothers is studying to become a paramedic. Having her child enrolled at SELA has provided her the flexibility and the grandparents to take care of the other two children that they have at home, and she is now studying in Guanajuato. A number of mothers, while their children were in preschool, were supported by SELA staff to finish high school. They took their exams, they obtained their certificates, and subsequently found jobs, a tremendous accomplishment. Jorge, another one, Jorge was enrolled in SELA as his mother was unable to raise him. His grandmother enrolled him in daycare because his mother couldn't emotionally deal with him as she was the product of sexual abuse. Little by little, we worked with the mother, and by the third year in preschool, the mother was emotionally ready to care for her son. She was able to finish high school and is now working at a legal office and is a full-time employee. This is what matters, opening the world to these possibilities. One, and yank me off, but one anecdotal story. I was at the school, and you know my background, a couple of weeks ago, and a teacher came up to me, a teacher who helps out, a volunteer, I'm sorry, who helps out with three-year-olds. And he said, "Hey, I know your background. I've got a child that doesn't talk. And I don't know what it is. I don't know whether he has a hearing problem, whether it's a physical problem." And I said, "Well, come on, let's go and we're, we'll just call him Jorge and see what's up with Jorge." So we took him into a room. And what I found out was the caregivers at home, three and a half, no words, were accepting if he was pointing. And he would not say anything, and they would give him whatever he wanted. So, what was the need for him to speak? There wasn't any need because all of his needs were met by just gesturing. So, within a couple of hours of working with the child, we got the child to start imitating us, imitating sounds, different vowel sounds, different consonant sounds. We started stacking. The whole point is starting to imitate, to tune into you, whether it's building blocks and him imitating patterns or vocalizing in terms of vowels and consonant ba, be, just for him to look at us and say ba, be, boo, was an incredible accomplishment. I mean, this child doesn't understand that sounds and words have meaning. So showing him a picture of a dog and having him at least try and approximate that word perro and say is a tremendous accomplishment. So in the course, with care, with guidance, with education, this child, the world is starting to open up for this child. Not only that, but we're trying to work with the caregivers because they are as important in this process. Their expectations of what this child can do need to be raised so that they don't accept, they accept an approximation of a word. And from there, we can build to 2 words and 3 words. These are the stories, one by one, that touched my heart. And as you can see, I'm a clinician. My whole life has been, I believe in paying it forward. It's all about giving. That's the most gratitude to me, is paying it forward and see others succeed in this world. And Sila does this one child, thank you, one child at a time. And with your help, we can do more. And the world is our possibility in getting our children educated and proper care to get them out of the cycle. As we all know, education is the key. Without education, there is no chance for these children to succeed. And we don't want them to go back into a cycle where if someone offers them a lot of money to do something that they shouldn't do, because they don't have money and they don't have education, and they get hooked back into that and they can't get out of it. We don't want that to happen. And we have the proof that children can succeed with early education and care. So I thank you very much for your attention, and we're happy to answer any questions that you may have. Thank you.
You want to do it?
Hi, Sue.
Thank you. Oh, do come up, Richard. I was just going to thank Richard before we start and entertain questions, and we're ready.
It's a comment. Thank you so much for the presentation. I was president of the club when that furniture grant
Yes.
was given. It was $40,000. At that time, it was a tremendous amount of money. It was before global grants. And Donna Quadheimer, okay,
Yep.
was our second Citizen of the Year.
All right.
okay?
I didn't know that.
So,
Thanks.
yeah, we've had 2 of your people that are associated in that way. And I think Donna is in Chicago now?
She is.
Yeah, wonderful person. So thank you very much for all that you've done. It's a wonderful
All
organization.
right. Thanks.
Great presentation. I went online last week and I was looking at your website. I don't know a lot of Spanish. I'm trying to learn, but it's a challenge for me. Is there volunteer opportunities for people that know just a little Spanish?
Yes, Richard is currently volunteering too. There is opportunity for people with all levels of Spanish from 0, providing they would love to learn some Spanish. We're always, even at my age, which I think is perhaps topping many of you here, I'm anxious to learn more. I started in high school and I'm nowhere where I ought to be. So please, we're looking for volunteers in classrooms helping teachers or working with the board or working. Dave, our president, came in as a volunteer and is still volunteering and spends most of his days at the school as a volunteer. So we're looking for everyone.
About volunteering, is it possible, if not connecting in person here, to be able to activate those things on your website? Can we volunteer through your website?
I would say that since you're here, that's a great idea, and we are developing a brand new website. It should be ready, we're hoping, in about 3 weeks. And any suggestions like this are welcome, and that's a good thing. But we do have a sign-up sheet here for those who would like to take a tour. And that's always a good way to decide whether is this your place? And there is a tour coming up this Thursday at 11. So all people are welcome to join that tour or arrange your own. And there is a sign-in sheet that one of our volunteers will have so that you could sign up for a tour and we'll contact you, something that suits you, whether it's just you or a group.
What do you need?
Pardon?
What do you need?
Oh, need. I said mean, sorry. Um, we need all resources at the center. We have closed classrooms. We have 50 people on the waiting list. We desperately need, of course, funds. That's always true of every charity in San Miguel. But those funds and those efforts of volunteers, if we can't afford a teacher, we can certainly spread one teacher more thinly with loads of volunteers to help her. So we are attempting now, there's a big push on amongst a whole brand new group of volunteers, myself and Richard included, to bring life to the school in terms of growth, getting it back to the 200 students that Donna had. That's our goal. And beyond that, we have a second building, which potentially down the road might be able to be used. But we also want to inspire other colonias in San Miguel to start similar schools. We can be a model for this. And we can also be a model for Claudia Scheinbaum in all of Mexico. Because you saw the statistics, less than 4% of Mexicans receive preschool and daycare education. Yes. Yes, there is a small flyer, I believe, that perhaps our volunteers, yes, have here. And we can do this and that. Give it to you, too. That's an amazing thing to do. Yeah, that'd be great. Yeah, thank you so much. Well, that, of course, is the thing that we also need. People to network amongst your friends, attend our events, and the minute that website goes up, it'll really start to assist us, I think. Uh, Yes.
So raise your hand and ask a question. I need 100 pesos. Okay, don't just raise your hand and think I'm gonna come running to you. Okay, what do you think I am, Van and White over here? Okay, go ahead, you sir.
Hola. So two questions. The first one, if you have a really special kid with special needs, you work with another NGO like Crisma, like other who are like professionals in health.
Yeah, Patricia.
Holy moly! Yeah.
I, I was just going to say that your very own Joyce Grenitz of Niños con Autismo so generously offered. And so I have put her in touch with Patricia Palacios. And we have a wonderful partner in Patronato Pro Niños. And so, yes, we are working with others and look to continue those collaborations.
Good too.
Yeah, that's the number one. Because well, after the meeting, I would love to talk to you about that. Because there's other NGOs that you might be partnered with. And the other, like, how old is like the average of the moms?
Does anyone from the school know that answer?
Teen pregnancy, we have some very young mothers, mothers that aren't ready to be mothers. I don't know the exact age, but we've got some teen moms.
Sorry, I'm not on the ins of
Okay, I
the.
just asked because I think our girls empowerment program could fit into that moms. So let's talk about that after the meeting.
Excellent. Thank you so much. All of these suggestions are so welcome because many of us are new volunteers. Patricia Cebulski has been around for longer, so that's why she's able to answer these questions. But all suggestions are welcome and advice and direction. We're open to help.
I
Thank you.
would just point out that if you're interested in volunteering and you're not certain about your Spanish level, that being around small children who are native speakers is a great way to learn.
My goal is to talk with a 3-year-old.
This club really makes things happen. So I wondered about how much money it would take to open one of the 2 closed classrooms.
All right. Well, what I do know some numbers there. It costs about $1,000 US to sponsor or educate a child for 1 year. And that includes the teaching and everything that goes with that, the backpacks, the uniforms, the books, etc.
So
So I presume it depends on class size, of course. And
so
which
if we
round.
raise $50,000, could we get 50 kids
You would
in school?
exactly get 50 children, and that would be a delight.
Okay.
We have our revenue goals, of course, for this campaign, and that would be wonderful. Then if somebody has an idea how best to do that, we also need help on the fundraising team. Have we gonged ourselves off stage yet?